Welcome back to the Bossing It series podcast. Woo! Season 2. So we have a new guest this season. Nor is sadly Miss Guys, right?
Yeah.
But we do have Asha, so she'll introduce herself.
Hi, ladies. Happy to be joining you. My name's Asha. I'm 31. I own a natural feminine care brand called Yoni Yoni.
Come on.
And I've got a boy. He's 4. So yeah.
Lovely.
Welcome to the gang.
Thank you.
So, our first question, girls. Are you ready?
Ready.
Yes.
Okay. So, do we, as millennial mothers, strive for marriage as a life goal?
Oh,
Take a moment.
yeah. I mean, who wants to go first?
I mean, I think life goal is a bit far-fetched.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big thing. I mean, my first marriage, there's reasons. I had a goal to get out of the house and wanted to start my life, but not as in, oh, I want a successful marriage, and that was never my goal. You know, there's a goal. My goal was more, I needed to get out of the house, and just live my own life and independent of my parents.
I saw that, but I think because my parents were quite old, it was almost like they forced that perspective of you need to be married at a certain age, you need to do this, etc. Whereas I came out of that thinking, I mean, I've been with my partner for 13 years old? We're not married. I don't want to be married. I love going to weddings, don't get me wrong, I love it.
Why don't you want to be married?
Only So, this is what I've said, and I've said this openly to him as well, and we've agreed on this. I don't necessarily think marriage as a government title, you know, that whole label, it's own, and you have to do this, change your name, etc. It's just so long. I'd rather have our relationship blessed in a church and just have the ceremony, because to me that is more, I think as soon as you start saying marriage, I think that's where it comes with problems.
But I think that is marriage, though.
It's
like,
not, it's just, you're just blessing a relationship. There's no government title, you don't need to have his name.
So, like, I'm Muslim, and then we have the same thing. So, like, we get married in a mosque, but it's not legal. So it would be the same. You'd rather you be in a church, but it signifies marriage.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think you kind of explained it. So, yes, it is technically a marriage.
So you would get married?
But then I have this feeling where I am quite nervous around the word marriage, because when I grew up seeing what marriage was in my household with my mum and dad, it necessarily wasn't the best thing. My dad was never there, but they were still in a relationship. But I don't know what, I think the word itself, marriage, scares me. And I think that's why I kind of left the house thinking I don't need to get married because I don't want to end up like my parents.
Okay, that's fair point.
I actually really relate to that as well. Like, growing up in a household where the marriage was not what a marriage actually should be. It wasn't loving. The relationship just wasn't an environment that children or anyone can thrive in and grow up in. And I never wanted to get married because of the examples of marriages that I was seeing around me. I also agree with what you're saying, the actual legal title of it, that I've been previously married myself, and it was the worst thing I could have ever done in my whole entire life, especially where I was so adamant I would never get married. And then being married and being legally tied to someone and going through a divorce, it's just awful. Like, I never want to be married again.
I think that's the word, legally tied.
Yeah, it's because you're legally bound to this person.
Yeah.
Like, you can come out of the relationship, but you're still legally tied to them. And for me, it was really traumatic having that tie.
With a legal tie, you could be legally tied to a contract, a phone contract. So what's the difference?
It's not the same, it's a person. It's like, if this person comes in and out your life, well, not in and out. I mean, they're in your life, they're doing everything, they own everything. Do you know what I mean? As much as you do. But, I mean, like, if you've got a mortgage together, you know, they could just take the house. Like, it's bigger than just a phone. Do you know what I mean?
So when you're married, for example, in my case, so I was married, so you can go through the divorce, but after that there's still other legal ties that keep you bound. So your finances keep you bound unless you do a financial order via the court. So essentially, if you don't get a financial order years down the line, your ex-husband, ex-wife can come for your assets.
And this is, do you know what, I don't think this has been explained enough as well.
To young people, or?
Yeah, I didn't know that until I was going through my divorce. I had no idea.
But that's why some people get like a prenup. Is that?
I'm definitely getting that.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of prenups anyway. Protect what's yours.
Yeah. Yeah,
But now
100%.
I think I feel away if someone's like, okay, well, you need to sign a prenup. It's like, you don't trust me. Like, do you think I'm going to come? I don't want anything that I've not worked for. Or I don't want that. So I would understand it, but then it would make me be like, make me look at them a bit sideways, like, oh, okay, you don't trust me.
Then why are you getting married?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, then
Yeah.
why are you asking for a prenup?
Yeah, see, I completely get that, but I think when you've had certain life experiences,
Yeah.
like I have with my divorce, if someone came to me now and was like, let's get married, first of all, I'd be like, no, because I don't want to get married, but let's just say that was hypothetically the situation.
Yeah.
And they said, I've got my assets, I want to protect my assets.
Fair.
Yeah.
Cool, we'll do a prenup, but you know what you're going to do is you're going to involve my time and my energy in that prenup too.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm
for
not
that.
just going to be in this relationship giving it my all, and if we were to divorce for whatever reason, I'm left with nothing. I'm not doing that.
So future husband.
But again, I'm a bit like with Jane about the whole, I guess more like a spiritual ceremony. Like I don't ever legally want to be bound to someone in a marriage, like government title. But would I go on the beach and exchange rings and be cute and have a little wedding? I mean, yeah, that whole celebration. I love a good wedding. I would love a
But
celebration.
you know what, though? I think more or less, majority of people that I speak to, yes, they're getting married, etc. But then another majority of people that I'm speaking to are not, because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
In this day and age, how
Yeah.
can you even afford a wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
then
it
the
depends
parents
on what
expect-
size, because you could go to a beach and have it completely
Yeah.
intimate,
Yeah.
or you could do the full YouTube thing where you're inviting everyone. Like, you don't even know, you're feeding people that you don't even know, and
Yeah.
that's like a 500 guest
These
list.
are the
Yeah.
parties that I'm
Yeah,
invited to.
but I know Asha's been married before.
I've been married. Well, I am still married,
Oh,
going
okay.
through a divorce, which we actually haven't started the process yet. Luckily enough for us, we literally just went to the registry office, and the plan was to later on down the line do a big wedding, but we didn't end up doing it, obviously, for reasons why. But like for me, I would get married again. And the marriage I was in was the wrong one for me. But if I was with someone and I felt safe, I would get married again. Like it's not a life goal of mine. Like I'm fine if I don't get married, but
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
get married again.
Yeah.
So
See, I don't think, I find it really difficult nowadays that people say the marriage is a goal in their life. You know, you don't hear that. People are less tolerant. Men and women are less tolerant in their marriage. You know what I mean? It's a much older
You mean we have
generation.
boundaries now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not
Everyone's
about
more
being less
self-aware
right.
of what's
So it's
going
not-
on.
So actually,
And but maybe a bit selfish. Like I think everybody's just like focused on like self and I. I don't think people
But I don't
really
think that's
want
a
to.
bad thing.
as
I don't
Asha
think that's a
said,
bad thing.
If you're safe in a relationship, your partner respects and honours your boundary, and you do the same
100%.
back, and you're safe, there is no tolerance.
There we go.
100%.
You can have my card. You can have
like,
everything.
yeah,
Fine, I'll
have
like-
it all
Yeah.
because
So do you
I'm
think we're
safe with
looking at it
you.
from like a negative?
In the same marriage now, we
Yeah.
are looking at it very negative, and there isn't like the happy thought until you hear that someone's obviously getting married. But when you ask them, oh, do you want to get married? They say, oh no.
So what your goals
but
in
that's
life?
not mine.
So what's the benefits?
But then
of
you are
marriage?
saying, but then you want this whole like, and this is the thing, this glitz and glam. Like I want the wedding, but then the actual part where you actually have to do the work.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of people that are like, it's about this wedding and this big day and spending money. Because I've had people tell me, like, just dramas, and I'm like, oh, would you marry him? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'm like, but you just said you don't want to be boyfriend and girlfriend, but you'll be his wife.
It's a trend.
Yeah. So it's like,
Sorry,
The
marriage.
ring.
It feels
the
like
ring,
a
the
trend.
whole,
Yeah.
How it
that
looks.
status, how it looks,
Yeah,
rather than like
yeah.
this actually takes work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
now
I could say that from personal experience. Like, as I mentioned, like I didn't want to get married, but I was living with a perpetrator of domestic abuse. So I was manipulated into saying yes, basically. And in my experience, when someone tells you no one's going to love you, I'm the only person who loves you, I'm the only person who puts up with you. If we don't get married, I'm going to leave you. And that's how I ended up saying yes, because I thought, well, I'm going to be on my own, right? Who is going to love me? Who is going to have me? That was not a safe relationship. I was not with a safe person. That marriage was never going to work. But I didn't know because I didn't have the guidance. And it's like Jane said, like, so much things about the legal side of marriage, no one tells you. There's no one there to guide you because I can say from myself, my generation, my background, my cultural background, my ethnicity, you have to get married. Like, there is no other way. Like, you get married, you have babies. That is your life goal as a woman.
Yeah.
So when you got married, Lejla, did you feel like, are you going to spend the rest of your life with this person? Like, even though you were going
I'm going to be
through-
completely honest, yeah. The day I got married, the depression set in so hard that the next day I couldn't stop crying. I was like, why did I do that? Because I thought, that's it now. I've signed the piece of paper in front of the registrar. I can't go back. And that was the end of my relationship. That's when I started to realise that I was with a perpetrator and he wasn't a healthy person for me to be with.
Right.
So for me, that getting married, I remember on my on my hen do, on the last day of my hen do, I sat with one of my bridesmaids and I cried. I was like, this is it now. But in my head, I thought I had cold feet. Because I had no one to sit down and guide me and be like, are you sure this is the right thing? Like, are you sure? Are you happy? Like, I don't know if this relationship is right for you. I don't know if this person is right for you. But
You probably weren't self-aware as well of what's going on. Or what's going on
because
either.
there was no awareness of what a healthy relationship looks like, what it should be like, what it takes to feel safe, all the hard work that you should be doing as two individuals separately to then come together and unify, right? That's what makes, for me, in my opinion, like a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage. My wedding was bad. I loved my wedding. I looked like a princess. My dress was massive. Like, I loved it. Everyone made me feel so loved, but it was a distraction. And that night I went to bed thinking, oh my God. No, I was a bit drunk, but the next day I woke up and I was like, oh my, what have I done? What have I done? And that was it. That was the beginning of the end.
And how long were you married for?
Well, we were married for 6 months before I left, but we were together for 8.5 years. We were together for 8 years before we got married.
Oh,
How long were you married for?
Well, we were together for like eight years, and then we got married probably on the 7th year, and then probably about a year and a half or two later, that's when I said, I can't do this. So, yeah.
See, I was only married. I was only married for 2 years.
Yeah.
So, because my goal was to get out of the house. So, met him in October, got engaged in February, got married in October, married for 2 years, left. And I feel like a goal to get out as opposed to a goal for marriage, or a goal, it's a difference between a goal to make it work. I didn't have it. I don't think people nowadays have it in them to try and make it.
I feel like they do. There's loads of marriages happening. There's loads of couples getting married, and to be honest, I want to be one of them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, for me, it is a bit of a life goal, whether that's what society is telling me or if that is something that I would like because I just want that companionship, if that's a word. And I just feel like I'll be completely different. Like, there's a lot of things I said that I wouldn't do now in a relationship, but once I have my husband, I'll be doing those things. Some of them.
Feminine energy.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like, as we were talking off camera, that us women, we like to be in our feminine energy.
I love it.
Being in a safe space with somebody, healthy relationship, that reciprocal energy, like what you put in is what I'm putting in, what I get out is what I get out. And I know you're saying that, Jane's shaking her head.
No, I'm saying yes.
You're saying, that's not real, that's not real. No, definitely a life goal for me. Not saying that if it doesn't happen, that I'm literally going to be like dead. No, it's just more so the fact of, I'm going to strive for that just as much as I want my bank account to be full.
So what do you think of like my aspect then of being with someone for like 13 years and not married, but? You know, I just want to know what your thoughts are.
Sure.
If it works for you, that's great.
So I don't judge. I'm not judgmental person.
But would you do it yourself? Or
No,
clearly not you.
No, because I'll just be like, okay, so what are we working towards? Like,
So you're expecting something then?
Well, yeah, I was
for so long.
I mean, I was engaged for like a couple of months, and I just loved that ring on my hand. I loved it. It just felt different. Like, as soon as I got engaged, I felt different, and that's when I fell pregnant.
My fiancé.
I fell pregnant after I got engaged because I was literally just like, okay, I'm safe now.
Literally,
I'm in at the same thing, and I feel safe now. Now I can have.
Literally the same thing happened. I think we also had kind of like, I very much respect marriage in the fact that a man is thought that much into you and respects
Yes.
you enough
Yes.
to say, I want to make you my wife.
Come on.
So, yeah, I just think that's a big commitment. And obviously, you just have to find that person where you feel like you're both going to have to work at it through the good and the bad. And then it's okay. But we also got to look at, like, so to say, like, in death as well, like, as a by society, if you're a single woman, not married, how do they look at you? How does society respect you in that instance? And I know it's a lot easier when you are married to that person. Do you know what I'm saying? And you then have, and then when you have children as well, it's also protecting that.
That's where prenups come into those situations. So I think there is such a negative connotation towards prenups here, but the prenup can be drawn between two people buying a house together. So to safeguard yourself in the instant, you go to a solicitor, done. What do you need to sign a piece of paper for the government to say you're married and now you're entitled to half? No, we don't need to do that.
This is
we don't need to do that.
And I think just being in a safe relationship anyway. So currently, I feel like that's what I'm in. I know the ins and outs. We both know each other. So it's like, I don't know. I just don't know. I just feel like
you feel like you don't need to add any more to that because you've got it all.
And the thing is, it doesn't need to be marriage is the end goal in a relationship. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to go anywhere in life together. It doesn't mean that you're not going to grow and you're not going to flourish and blossom and all of that. It's just...
It could show a level of commitment to certain people as well because
society.
At the end of the day, we're in society, there's social media and there's options and that creates a lot of options for people. And I feel like when people put a commitment down in this day and age, that means something. Especially if their mindset is there. That's kind of where I'm coming from.
But then who's the commitment for? Is the commitment for social media or is the commitment for yourselves?
Both of you guys. Both of you guys.
Because if there's so much outside influence, then how do you know the commitment is, you're accepting that commitment because you genuinely want it and you feel like that's the next step, as opposed to it's what society expects of you. You see what I mean? And that's where I feel like that's where the hard work comes in a relationship. But that's where the hard work you have to do separately.
Absolutely. So what about like marriage counselling or like
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm all for
I
it.
think individually, it's
Yeah,
best that you do
absolutely.
the work.
And I don't think a relationship has to be broken to go to therapy.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I think because so many people, our generation, are living in past trauma. And they're like living in their childhood self. They're not even living in their adult self because they don't even recognize it. That's where therapy comes into it for yourself, but like separately as a person and also together as a couple.
I think I think there's a difference between having a goal of marriage or having a goal of marrying your person. So I don't have a goal of marriage. Like my goal is not to get married again, but my goal would be I want to marry my person. So it's completely different. I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, because some women will just like get married, meet someone, like 50 minutes later he's proposed, I'm gonna go get married. Like it's the happiest time of my life. Like I'm gonna be a married woman.
You don't even know him.
You don't know him, and they just want to have. They just want to have the wedding, but to tick the box to say I've been married.
I'm married.
So
that's exactly what I did. Exactly. I mean, I got married to my son's dad, knowing that this is not going to last forever. On our wedding day, we just were two opposite people.
Right.
And, I had my own reasons. He had his own reasons as well. And this whole culture of you need to get married, you need to have children. So it was just convenient for both of us. So.
Do you know what I also think? I think probably one of the reasons why I'm just listening to all of this, and I literally think that if we were to get married, I think it would just ruin everything that we currently have. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just because of what media's portrayed and, all these stories I'm hearing everywhere.
Yeah, but you know your relationship though.
Yeah.
You know your relationship. So do you feel like having a ring on your finger is going to ruin it? Why would it?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think it scares me just going back to what I've seen with what my parents are and just that whole, what a marriage is. And then
but you're in a marriage. Pretty much you're in a marriage.
It is, but it's not. I just don't legally tied. I'm not legally tied, so I can do. I'm free. I can do whatever I want.
You're not.
Yeah, but I get it. But doesn't that mean it's like you got trauma from
probably,
and then you're bringing it.
That's probably what it is. I probably am still suffering.
Yeah.
This is probably why I'm still bringing it on with me. But we've had conversations where I'm just like, well, both of us. I think potentially when we were young, we had Lejla when we were like 19, and it was a big thing with the parents saying, oh, you've had the child, you need to go get married. So it was mainly them from both sides, and we just kind of feel like, do we really need to do this? Can we just wing it and see? Because obviously that first couple of years was not the best. We've grown since then. We're now adults. We were kids then.
Yeah.
And I think we've grown in a relationships where we actually understand each other, and we've got to a really great point where we're just like, we know what we need to do. But I think we're more driven in the fact of getting, you know, like a house, getting, you know, starting a business, doing that, and then marriage is the last thing, or just, I don't know, like I said, like you said, it's not a goal, it's not a life goal. Yeah. It's something that can happen, probably, when I'm 65, cool. Yeah. I'm having a
But he's your person, do you not want to call him your husband?
He is my husband, he's my husband, he is everything. It's not we're not legally tied, like I'm not, my surname is not his, I will keep mine, and I know you can do that in marriages, but I just don't think we need it, and I think that's probably just a me thing, carrying on that trauma from my parents, like you said. I probably need to deal that out at one point, but at the minute, I'm cool, I'm humble.
And do you know what? The fact that you are self-aware of that is amazing, because you know that that's it. Because of that, you know that marriage isn't right for you.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm saying. If more people had that self-awareness, they wouldn't end up like some of us having marriages that weren't right for us, with people that weren't right for us.
Exactly.
So, ladies, on that note, what do we think? Do we think that it's an old-fashioned thing, or do we think that marriage is something that is kind of a goal, but it needs to be, it's kind of expected to do, or is it something that is just not right for you? Is it what we're feeling?
I mean, I need a husband, fam.
It's Corene's goal.
Okay.
So basically, it is whatever you want it to be. If it's a goal, it's a goal.
I'm impartial.
Yeah,
if it's a goal,
really,
impartial.
it happens. No, but I want to be a wife. Or
Yeah.
like you said, some sort of ceremony. Like, it doesn't have to be legal, but it's like, there's something else holding, you know, like with the religious ceremony, it's like you're accountable to a higher power, you're accountable, with a wedding, you have witnesses. So it's like, I like that. It's not just, okay, we're doing this, even though you have to be accountable to yourself, but I like that there's other people witnessing it, or there's a higher power, and that's, do you know what I mean? I think maybe because we're less religious.
Possibly.
I think that could also
Play into it.
Play into it.
That's very true.
But yeah, I think I would like to get married.
On another note, we will be going to Corene's wedding next week.
I mean, I could potentially be getting married tomorrow, but
Get married to herself.
that's a
Oh, that's a thing as well.
I just want a ring. I just want a ring again. I miss not wearing a ring.
Oh yes.
And
nice.
I said to
put one-
the next
put one
person, I just said, like,
Go
just get me a
Primark
ring and I'm good.
So this is not a real ring.
good.
This is costume jewelry.
So guys, thank you for watching episode 1. Make sure that you like, comment and
Subscribe!
Welcome to our hood, it's motherhood. Yeah.